The Gellerpox Infected have just been re-released for Kill Team. It's super good news. This kit is fantastic. It's, in my opinion, one of the best sprues that Games Workshop's ever produced. It's full of personality and detail, and I think that any hobbyist would be super happy to have this sprue. And if you've already bought this sprue, you know, you've taken a look at it. It's great. When Games Workshop paints it, it looks like this. These Gellerpox were painted by my wife. They were her introduction into the hobby. And then once she had these models painted, they became her introduction into the game. The first games we ever played were with the Gellerpox Infected versus, you know, whatever I had, and we used Codex Gellerpox Infected that came out with these rules. I don't play Kill Team. I play 40K though. And when I was, you know, she and I are together and I'm like, hey, this is what I do. Do you want to do it? And we went to the hobby store, and at my friendly local game store, they will break up starter boxes, and they had broken this up, and she had seen the Gellerpox and loved it. So this is the army she started with. Yes, my wife fell to Nurgle. I don't know how I feel about that. I also don't know, you know, what that means to me as a person, that the woman who decides to love me also loves Nurgle. Maybe I'm kind of nurgly. Anyway, so this book is what we played with at first. And then as she painted more models, she slowly filled out her Nurgle army. And now she has about 800 points of Nurgle, but the Gellerpox are still in the middle of it. Now this is just 40K. This is not Kill Team. As I understand it, the Gellerpox are just perfectly tailored for Kill Team. I don't play Kill Team, and I don't want to talk about Kill Team too much because I am not a Kill Team player. Anyway, with the re-release, also the Gellerpox got new rules. These rules here, this is my tablet. And if you buy the Gellerpox sprue and you want to put them in 40K, these are the new rules. And they're very different. And let's look at them. First off, in the old rules, there are 7 units. We have the Hall Breakers, and this man with the white shirt, he is the Nasher Screamer. These are the Hall Breakers. We have Volgar Thrice Cursed. He is the HQ unit. We have Vox Shamblers, Curse Mites, Eye Stinger Swarms, Sludge Grubs, and Glitchlings. In the new rules, they've reduced all 23 of those models down to just 2 units. In the new rules, it looks like this. All 23 models are lumped into 2 units. I'm fairly certain they do it this way because in the new version of Kill Team, as I understand it, and this is really the thing that made me lose interest in Kill Team, is your Kill Team troops need to be drawn from 2 different types of unit. And my best example of that would be like half your Kill Team can be Intercessors and the other half can be Incursors. I think that's how it goes. I don't like that at all. I think that Kill Team should be an expression of creativity, which is what I think Warhammer should be, but if I were to play a skirmish game like that, I think that I would probably be more inclined to go to Necromunda, just because of that. But anyway, I think that the reason for the rules change is because they wanted to get these into 2 squads or 2 different groupings, so they would be following the same rules as other Kill Team would have to follow, and that's fine. And I'm grateful. I'm like, a lot of people like, I make videos that are like Games Workshop is bad. That's not what this is at all. But these new rules take these units and put them together and make this one thing and make this one thing. And I really kind of hate it because these guys here are glitchlings. They're like nurglings. They're demons. And then these, the grubs, the mites, the flies, these are the mutoid vermin. And I'm sorry, it's a personal bugaboo because I'm such a narrative player. These are demons. These are vermin. Don't put them in the same squad. And then in my rules, these guys go 5, these guys go 8, these guys go 10. And then you put them all together and you're like, why are the grubs going as fast as the flies? And maybe that's me just you know, crying. Maybe I'm crying. But then over here, it's even worse because all of a sudden now Volgar is just a Hallbreaker. He's not this awesome HQ unit who can take a Warlord. His Warlord trait gives him 3 more command points. And then also, these men went from being toughness 5 to toughness 4. And no, look at these men. Look at these men. Look at those men compared to a human. Those men are not toughness 4. Those monsters are toughness 5. They must be. And then this unit, the Vox Shamblers, they've been lumped in with the Hull Breakers, but they serve different roles. This is a big beefy killy unit, and this is a unit that is here to take objectives, and we'll talk about that in a second. So it's really nice that Games Workshop is still putting out rules for these so you can put them in your games of 40K. But here comes the whole point of my making the video, is that if you are going to include these models in your 40K army, I would have to assume, and I hate to assume anything, but I can't think that these units would go into, say, a tournament army or a serious match player's army. These are fun models that you could throw in your army because there are rules for them. And if you are going to use rules for these models to bring into your regular army, and you're not a serious match play player, I would encourage you to take it a step further and find a copy of this. Maybe on eBay. I'm sure you can find it digitally. But my wife, who we would call the Refuser, will be using this codex for her Gellerpox models from now on. We were using Battlescribe, but Battlescribe will change with the new rules, I'm sure. So we're calling this Gellerpox Legends, and these are the rules we're going to use. So in the new rules, this unit, all of them together, are 230 points. In this codex, they are 238 points. Currently on Battlescribe, they're 280. But forevermore, they are going to be 238 because this is the codex we are going to use. Games Workshop art. Sorry about the light, the glare. Games Workshop art. That's gorgeous. So we have, just like any codex, we have the background, the story, things to read and look at. And then we have the rules. So the Gellerpox are old school, disgustingly resilient. Most of them have a 5-up, feel no pain. It comes with this Volgrar's Followers rule, which is detachment rules, how you field them. I've always ignored this. I encourage you to as well. And then Volgrar can take a Warlord trait. It gives them 3 command points. It's a good Warlord trait because one of the things that gives this army so much personality are the stratagems. Volgrar is his own thing. He's just not part of a squad. He's his own thing. He hits on 3s. The Hullbreakers hit on 4s in this book. And then he has an old school flamer. And he's just a beat stick in combat at strength 6. Disgustingly resilient, -1 to the leadership. 5-up invulnerable save. Reroll hit rolls a 1. Volgrar is awesome. He is not just, just another unit in that squad. He's his own guy. And maybe I just feel that way because this is how I know him. I've played him this way, or I've played against him this way for such a long time, but I don't want him to be in the Hall Breakers. I want him to be Volgrar. Then the Vox Shamblers, they're not a spectacular unit. They are toughness 4 with 1 wound and a 6-up and a 5-up invulnerable save and a 5-up feel no pain. So they're a little resilient. Their invulnerable save can do mortal wounds back, which is cool. But what makes them great is there's a stratagem in the back of the book where for 1 command point, you can deep strike them. And so at the end of the game, they go grab an objective, and that's their job. Just keep them safe until you need them, and then you can put them where you want them, and then they can live for a turn. Great unit. The Glitchlings. Now this is where, so this army has so much character and so much personality, and that's kind of why I had to make the video. I have to speak for the Gellerpox. Glitchlings are Nurglings, essentially. However, they are -1 to hit if you're shooting at them. And they have a stratagem, too, that we're going to look at when we get into the stratagems. The Hullbreakers we've talked about. Now, in the new rules, they've gone down to toughness 4, and I hate that. Because what makes them scary is their toughness 5. And they have no shooting, but eventually, if they get there, they will put down 12 dice that hit on 4s at strength 5, AP 2, 2 damage each. They're great. They have a leadership debuff. They're disgustingly resilient. Big, beefy boys. Now, we have 3 entries for the Mutoid Vermin here. And they all have great personality. What I've thought about the Mutoid Vermin forever is that if you could include them in regular Chaos detachments in like bigger numbers, Like, you're allowed to take a unit of 4 of each of them, but if you could take units of like 10 of each of them, any Nurgle army would want them. They're fantastic. The Eye Stingers are my favorites because they have a 10-inch move, and then they have D3 attacks that hit on 4s, but 6s auto wound, and it's strength 2. That's worthwhile. If you can keep just 1 alive, you can get an Eye Stinger back at the beginning of every turn, and they're your fast unit. They are very good at sucking Overwatch for your Hull Breakers. They're very good at grabbing objectives. Eye Stingers are great. Curse Mites are very similar, but they move 8 inches, not 10. However, they can re-roll their charges. And they can pile in 6 instead of 3. And, you know, they have 2 attacks each. It's strength 2. It's not great, but it's not about doing damage. It's about being there. It's about getting in first and protecting your big, beefy, punchy guys from enemy fire. You know, if you can tie up your enemy with the grubs or the mites or the flies, then the Hull Breakers don't have to get shot at on the way in. Now, down here are the grubs. The grubs only move 5 inches. And, but they have a shooting attack, which nobody else in the army does except Volgarar. And it's pistol 1, and it's just strength 3, but it is a shooting attack. But then what's fun about them is in close combat, if you kill one, roll a d6, and on a 6-up, they pop and do a mortal wound. That's just fun. But a lot of the flavor starts here. For 1 command point, if you have a unit of mutoid vermin who are dead, bring it back to the table for 1 command point. Do that all game long. If Volgar dies for a command point, people around him can suffer a mortal wound. For 1 command point, pick a unit, and all of your models who are engaged with him are +1 to wound that unit. That's a good stratagem. Rancid Vomit. You gotta love a stratagem called Rancid Vomit. Choose a unit within 6 of the Hull Breakers, roll 3d6, and for each 5-up, that's a mortal wound. Machine Glitch. For a command point, roll a dice for every glitchling in contact with a vehicle, and on a 4-up, they take a mortal wound. Gellership. This is the best stratagem in the whole book. For a command point, remove your Vox Chamblers and deep strike them. Good stratagem. Insane Gibberings. For 1 command point, subtract 1 from Psychers who are within 18 inches of Volgarar. Twisted Blessings. For 1 command point, give a Hullbreaker a wound back. These are the stratagems. It's one of the things that makes this book so fun. And then over here, the points. And this is the points we're going to run them with for forever now, because this is Legends now. And Games Workshop's not into having units be 3 points a base now, but they should be. Curse Mites and Eye Stingers at toughness 2, 1 wound, 1 no save at all. They should be 3 points a model. Anyway, and then we have more beautiful Games Workshop art, and that is the end of Codex Gellerpox Infected. If you are a player and you have this army and you're a casual player, you're not too serious, the people you're playing against aren't too serious, I can't recommend enough you find these rules. These rules are fantastic. They're fun. They're flavorful. They're full of character. They really bring this army out in a way that those new rules just don't. And again, I'm not being like Games Workshop is bad, because Games Workshop is they produce my favorite product, and I give them. Well, I don't give them so much money anymore. I've wised up a little bit, but in the past I've given them a lot of money, and I want to love them. I really do. But also, I want to love all of you, and you should all want to love the Gellerpox, and you will love them more if you get them on your regular 40K table with these rules. These rules are great, and I love them. Finally, the Refuser and I recorded a battle report a few days ago. It is just the Gellerpox, no additional Nurgle, just Gellerpox at 238 points, and they face 235 points of Space Marines. And I'm going to post that video and this video at the same time. So if you want to see just the Gellerpox playing a regular game of 40K with just these old school rules, that video will be up for you to enjoy. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say about the Gellerpox. I hope you love them. Thanks for listening. You're all great. Have a nice day. Happy wargaming.